over to you, Real Madrid, Sam.
Yeah, first of all, Happy New Year, everyone. Hope everyone's had a good time. And you're shameless still, by the way, for that comment you put on to me at the beginning of the stream, Terry.
I'm not shameless. You wanted the manager and half your squad sacked. You're now top of the league. We told you would be.
Are leagues the one in January, Terry?
No, not yet. I'm just asking you how you feel about it.
Well, ask me in May, and then I'll apologize if we win the Champions League with it. No, but look, it's a shame that Souls is gone, because I wanted to ask him this question. Because I'm hearing this whole thing of, look, Brighton, I get it, like, not a bad team. I'm not saying that they're a bad team, but I actually didn't even know this before Lee actually told me. They've dropped 4 points to Brighton this season. 4. So
the first one is the Declan Rice red card.
Yeah, and my question is then, well, if it's phase 5, Terry, they can't be Brighton now, and now people are saying the league is done in January. So that just gives an indication that they have regressed then from these last 2 seasons then. That is giving me an indication that they might have regressed then. Because if you're saying now that the league is done, well, what kind of signal is that now sending out then? Because that doesn't sound very well.
So what do you think that means, in your opinion?
Yeah, for me, I think I think they've regressed. That one, I just don't think the firepower is nowhere near what it was before. I think if Saka, as I told the guy this as well, he even told me on the phone, he even thought the league is dead, because if Saka's gone, the firepower ain't there. I agree, but that is where I also told you on transfer deadline day that I think they didn't do enough. So now
you're saying they regressed. I understand, but they haven't added more firepower or good enough firepower. But what's made them regress? Because to regress is to suggest they were good enough, and now they no longer are. So what's created the regression, in your opinion?
For me, they don't play as good. I think their attacking play is much worse than what it was before. I think they create much less than what they have done before. And I think some of the players have dropped down a level than what they were doing last season as well. I think Trossard is one. I think he has regressed compared to last season. I think, what's the other guy that I was talking about? Martinelli. I think he's even decreased another level as well compared to what he was doing before. And I think these players who are keep regressing, I think also he's bought some players I don't think should have been, like Mikel Merino. I don't think that guy was the right signing for Arsenal. I didn't really understand that one. I thought they needed more of a backup for Odegaard, but listen, it is what it is. But I think these players have regressed to another level, and I think that's made them now regress overall as a team. And I think now, what is it? How many points are they behind now? Did you say 6?
6 and 5. Sorry, 5.
All right. 5. So if Liverpool win tomorrow, that's 8, and then if they win again, game in hand, that's 11. And I just think if
that game's getting cancelled tomorrow due to the weather, no, or has that not been confirmed?
That's not good. I doubt that's going to happen, especially this time of night. No, that will happen. If that does,
it's just because the Merseyside derby got cancelled. So I'm just
because for me it's obvious. If they don't even challenge the season, let's say they end up like 7-8 points, don't even challenge anymore for that league title, and they fumble out of the cups. For me, Terry, I don't think you can defend that manager then. I think he cannot be defended anymore. He can't.
Are you looking at regression through the scope of where they are in the league, or are you looking at it in terms of points? Because if we're at the exact same points we were last season, from a league standpoint, how is that regression? Just that
no, because no, it's not just not just the points. It's not just the points, because I just think
the way the exact same games we had up until this point last season, we have the exact same points.
I hear you.
We've had more injuries as well.
I hear. No, Matt. The injuries stop.
I'm not making
injuries are part of the game. Everyone has.
I'm just putting it into perspective that he's still.
I think we stagnated. Personally, I think we stagnated. But I'm just trying to understand your point.
Yeah, but Nathan,
I think stagnation's a very good.
I just think your players may have regressed. I just think some of them have regressed compared to these.
But again, Sam, like you have to, you cannot just say we have regressed and not back it up, because if we have the same points as last season, despite having tougher fixtures this year and having 3 matches where we got red cards and drop points in all of them, and the fact that we have scored 1 more goal than we did in the first 20 games of last season.
But
first.
Sam, can I ask you
this season it's 38. So how have we regressed?
Sam, can I ask you a question on the? I think. Listen, you're entitled to your opinion. if they don't challenge for the league from this point, they stay 6 to 9 points behind for the rest of the season, but pick up a League Cup or pick up an FA Cup. Do you consider that progression or regression? Because there's a trophy involved.
Yeah, there's a trophy there.
So do you consider that progression, regression, stagnation? Like,
no. Progression,
if you're going to categorize it with the words you've been using, if they win a trophy, how would you? What box would you put them in?
No. If you get a trophy, then it's progression. Because again, if you get a trophy, then fair enough. But for me, how do I say that? I don't think I've told you this as well before. I think that was a mistake. I probably should have clarified this to you before. For me, if you're 5 years deep into this whole project, not that I like to use that word, but let's say nowadays is the way that it's been produced. If you're 5 years deep, I think you need to win one of the big honors, one of the big ones, either the Prem or the UCL. Exactly. Those trophies should have been won along the way.
I understand your view on that. And the only reason I ask is just because I want to understand your take on that. We should give it. If it doesn't win the Champions League, it isn't progression essentially because it's not a big one. That's fair.
Yeah,
it's fair. It's fair. One second. It's fair you have that stance. I think what you said about Mikel Arteta, I think it's absolutely right that Arsenal fans, if they don't win any trophies, and if they fall off even further from this point away from the title race, don't win a trophy, and end up finishing 12, 15 points off the top, it would not be disrespectful to ask for the manager, the head coach, whatever his position is, I don't really care, to be changed. Because I do think there is a squad here that is good. We know it can do better than it's doing now.
Of course, that's my point.
Sometimes that stagnation or that regression as it's viewed, sometimes it can be because players have got a little bit bored of the training sessions and the manager and the voice. Arne Slot himself said in an interview, ironically, before Man United played Liverpool last time, I haven't really changed anything, especially not the style of football. It's just a few adaptations and a new voice that he feels has remotivated these players. And this isn't a dig at Arteta. I've said this for about 18 months now. Arsenal fans have got to start looking more at their club. I know there's a big fight, and some Arsenal fans are desperate for Arteta to be the guy that wins them a major trophy because they can say, oh, we won the debate. The debate's over. The debate's dead because both groups have got so many predictions wrong that I don't feel there's anything worth. The win is in tatters anyway. It's a bit of a hollow victory, whether you win it because he wins the Prem or whether he doesn't win the Prem and he sacks at the end of this season or next. It's just a hollow debate, in my personal opinion. Arsenal fans should be focusing their energy and their conversations on what is best for Arsenal from this point, not what is best for me and my ego in this debate. Because I feel that's where a lot of energy...
Yeah, but what do you think they should do?
What do you mean? If they don't... Paint me the picture.
Yeah, I'm about to. If they don't win anything again, they fall off dramatically even more than what they were doing last season, not challenging for a league title there. And Liverpool just run away with it. I think they should look for a new manager. Then yes, I've said that. I said that beginning of the season. My mind doesn't change. It's not. I mean, I'm not an Arsenal fan, so my opinion, I wouldn't say it weighs less because we're all football fans, but that's how I felt. I'm not emotional about it though. What I said nearly 3 years ago now, when I said the whole Arsenal looks scary thing. Firstly, people take it out of context of my perception from where my club was. But what I stated then throughout the course of that season is that I felt Arsenal were building to a point where either it was win-win, where it was either going to be Arteta takes them over the line or somebody else steps in and gets them over the line. So from my point of view, I'm not emotionally connected, as I know many people think I am, but I'm really not. It doesn't matter to me whether Arteta stays or not. In reality, as a Man United fan, I'd like all you fuckers to regress. I'd like you all to keep making mistakes, keep the wrong managers, because it would help my team, or at the very least right now, make my team look a little better, right? So I don't want your clubs to make the right decisions from a personal standpoint. But if I remove my bias and I remove what I want as an individual and be honest, I felt for a while that Arsenal were kind of in like a win-win. You're either going to win with I find it weird.
The next guy's going to get them over the line. But if he regresses massively from now in the league, doesn't win a trophy, the only saving grace, if I'm being honest, let's say he gets to a Champions League final and narrowly loses to a Real Madrid, but plays well in the knockouts and they look dangerous like they could win it, that could potentially save him. And I understand why, considering they've very rarely been that close. However, if they don't do well in that competition, fall off from now in the league and don't win a domestic trophy, I don't see the argument for keeping him.
No, even if he gets to the final.
The one thing I push back on, and Robbie says this a lot, Don Robbie, who I've got a lot of time and respect for, when Robbie says who else? What are we going to do? Bring in Sean Dyche? That for
that's a
me
ridiculous argument.
it's very disingenuous. There are lots of very good coaches out there, some of which have got great, some of them have got very good experience, maybe not in the Premier League per se. And I always think, listen, that's so disrespectful to your club, your Arsenal Football Club. And as much as we all like to banter you at times, you are a gigantic football club. And barring a handful of managers, Pep at City, anyone who's managing Real Madrid as an example, probably a Man United or a Spurs man. I actually think you could entice a Spurs manager away if he had the bottle to do it. But there's a handful of clubs where you couldn't take their manager because I think their clubs are too big or there's a rivalry. Outside of that, you should have the confidence to be able to take 99.9% of all managers away from their football clubs around Europe. So that's one thing I don't believe in. So, yeah, look, as I say, I think a lot of people will stick it on Arteta forever because they want to win that debate. Some will stick by him forever because they want to win that debate. I think a lot of the time, Arsenal fans in the last, say, 12 months haven't been talking, and I think fan conversations are very potent and important, haven't been talking about what's best for Arsenal, more so what will make me feel better if what I'm asking for comes off. And I think that Arteta's time at the football club should be up for discussion if he isn't winning major trophies. I absolutely believe that.
Do I find interesting?
Absolutely.
I think I brought this point up before, but a lot of people talk about Mikel Arteta's position, but then a lot of people talk about the transfer window and it not being sufficient enough to challenge or to improve Arsenal. And I think stagnation can also come about by squeezing what you can out of a group of players, but not improving on that. Right? I've seen great Premier League winning sides who've gone on and not strengthened sufficiently and struggled or been able to fail to replicate their winning ways and had to go back to the right Liverpool, for instance, or even United sides previously before Arsenal sides of Chelsea have failed not to go on and win the league. And I find it kind of interesting that a lot of the conversation kind of gets skipped to putting the pressure on the owners and the boards and those responsible decision makers at the club. And
what does that say about your board? But what does it say about the board? If you've got people now saying if Saka is gone, that ends the title. What does that say about the recruitment?
Exactly, that's my point. Before we start talking about the manager, I openly came in and I talked about the summer window and how I felt that it wasn't sufficient, right? So now for me to go out and then start, criticizing the manager and talking as if he's issue number one, when Saka's not in the squad, when Odegaard's not in the squad, we're now in a position where we're having to play three defensive midfielders.
Yeah, I agree. Because as much as
17-year-old out on the wing.
Yeah. You can hate Arteta all you want. Does anyone in their heart of heart believe that he was given a big long list of attackers and he went, yeah, Sterling? Like, no. I don't. But do you know what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily blame him for that per se. Again,
but the thing is, I don't know how much control that guy has even at Arsenal. Some people are saying he's got massive control there.
Maybe. No, but even from reports, right? We've been linked. I've said this before. We've been linked to Nico Williams. Rafinha was another one target.
Don't go anywhere near that guy, bro.
I'm just giving out names. Nico Williams was a target. Rafinha was a target. Bruno Guimaraes was a target at one stage. Isak was a target at one stage. How many of Arsenal's first team targets have they failed to?
I agree.
To get over the line.
I've got to jump into these super chats because there's loads of them.
I've got to shoot. Yeah, be safe,
Sam, top man.
Big up, guys.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. First super chat.